Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 357th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you know, I put on some old battles, I put on some newer battles, and sometimes I put on some brand new battles. Well, this battle was fought only last night, November the 23rd, 2018. But what I wanted to do to say here is that there's a couple of factions in this 31k battle that you rarely see on the 31k battlefield. In fact, I don't think you ever see them. And what I wanted to do here, especially for newer players to Rome Total War, is have a look at these two factions so you can have a look at some of the units within them. As I say, this battle was only fought last night, and when we saw a couple of the factions that were involved, we were quite surprised. But I hope you'll find this quite interesting, because one of the factions was Spain. I'm going to put a Rome faction there as well, but you'll see why in a minute. And the other unusual faction was Gaul. Okay, so Spain and Gaul. When was the last time you saw Spain and Gaul in a 31k battle? My guess is probably maybe never, or extremely rarely. Okay, so I just want to have a look at the units of these two factions here, so you can have a look and see what you think. Okay, if you see, there's a selection of the Spanish units there. You've got Iberian infantry, Scutari, the naked fanatics there as well, but their main troops, their battle troops if you like, are the bull warriors. And if you notice their specifications, can you see attack 13, defense 12, missile 17 and hit points 2. Now you might not know that the bull warriors had hit points, but just wanted to show you here how expensive these bull warriors are. If you just put gold shield and gold attack on them, gold attack, gold shield, can you see the price? 2,050 denarii per unit. Now that makes those units extremely expensive. But the thing is that what I've noticed in the past when we've seen them being played is, for that type of money, they don't seem to perform that well. And let's have a look at an urban cohort. We'll just put gold shield, gold attack on the urban cohort and see that that's 1,520. If you look, can you see the attack is 17, missile 21, and a massive defense of 27. Okay, so that's a urban cohort unit with just gold on, and that's 1,000, as you see, 520 denarii. Now, as I say, for that price, you get a really good infantry unit there. But if you look at the cost of the bull warrior in comparison to this unit, then you can see that I think the bull warrior is about at least another 500 denarii on top of that. So that's a lot of money to pay for a bull warrior. Now, as you go back to the bull warrior there, as I say, the bull warrior there, 2,050. Now look, if you look at the attack, now remember that the urban cohort with gold had 17 attack, the bull warrior's got 16, and then the urban cohort had 27 defense. And see, the defense is only 15. Yes, it's got 2 hit points, but with a defense of 15 and just 2 hit points, you can see there's a big difference between the urban cohort and this unit. And as I say, this is another 500 denarii dearer to buy. But when you see it in battle, it doesn't really reflect the price. And the cavalry that it's got is long shield. Spain's got is long shield cavalry, which is light cavalry. And if you just put a stripe gold shield, gold attack on, it's only 1,100. But if you look at the attack defense specifications, they're not great. Now, of course, if you look at the Praetorian cavalry, just put gold shield, gold attack on that, and in comparison, you can see attack 14, defense 25. So of course, that's why Spain isn't bought that much, because obviously see the difference there between the best cavalry they've got in Spain and the bull warriors. So as I say, the bull warriors themselves are very generous. This is Earth's army. Now, Brotherhood member Earth bought this army in the battle last night. Now, if you notice there, can you see he's got I think he's got something like 13 bull warriors and 6 of the light cavalry, the long shield light cavalry there, and 2 slinger units. So that's the army that he's bought there. If you notice the upgrades, you can see most of them have got gold shield, gold attack, but some of them have got gold attack and just silver defense there. So that's an interesting Spanish army to look at, I think, especially for newer players to Rome Total War. Now let's have a look at the other rarely used faction on the 31k battlefield, Gaul. And if you notice here, can you see bringing druids, bringing a religious unit is always good with the barbarians, because as you know, the barbarian faction's morale is so low. You need really to bring like the druids, but in this particular case, to give morale bonus. And then you can see you got naked fanatics, you got the swordsmen, but they're, as you can see, but their most elite troops are the chosen swordsmen. Okay, if you look at the specifications, attack 13, defense 17. You put a stripe, gold shield, gold attack on there, and specifications not bad really for a barbarian unit there, 17, 21, 4. But the main thing I want to show you were these Forester Warband archers. Now, I would say these archers and the Pharaoh archers are possibly the best archers in the game. If you look at their missile 11, defense 7, attack 11, charge 4. If you look, they got excellent morale, and also they can hide anywhere on the battlefield. So you move them, and the moment they stop anywhere on the battlefield, they disappear from view from the enemy. So that's a really big advantage there, because obviously you can do ambushes and things like that where the enemy might not notice, well, they can't see your archers, so you can actually spring ambushes from them. And also their secondary weapon are spears. Now, how do you usually deal with archers? You usually charge your cavalry into archers, don't you? Well, these guys, alt attack weapon, their secondary weapon is a spear. Well, of course, all spears and pikes have got anti-cavalry bonus in this game. So very often these Forester archers can fight off cavalry attacks with their alt attack spear weapon. But just to look at the cost of these Forester Warband, you can see they're 1,710 denarii. Okay, let's have a look at a Roman archer auxiliary with gold shield, gold attack on. Right, can you see they're just 700 denarii, and the specifications on them are a lot less than what's on the Gaul Forester archers there. Okay, so as you can see here, but these guys are an extra 1,000 denarii on top of the Roman auxiliary archer. So you know, and then the only cavalry they've got, barbarian noble cavalry or the general cavalry there. So that's why Gaul, the archers are really great in this faction, but that's why you don't see them much on the 31k battlefield. Right, okay, so there's Cody's army there. Now, as you can see, he's got 7 quite well upgraded Forester archers there. If you notice there with that stripe on missile 15, I mean, that's really good. And then he's got a few units of heavy infantry and a couple of skirmish units there. I see he's opted for the general units with the 2 hit points rather than their heavy cavalry. So that's an interesting Gaul army build there. But as I say, the archers can be, you know, actually devastating if used correctly. So this should be an interesting battle for you to watch. Okay, so as I say, this is Brotherhood Battle 357, hosted by Brotherhood member Crypto on a custom map here. You can see that's a custom map. Now, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Lord Crypto, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. Now, it's an interesting army that he's bought here because he has bought an all-infantry army. He's got 20 units of infantry, including an eagle unit. Now, those of you who are interested in statistics may like to know that the whole army consists of 1,680 infantry. Okay, now each one of those infantry can throw 3 pilers each, which equates to 5,040 pilers. So this army can throw 5,040 pilers. Now, even if a quarter of those pilers develop, you know, go into kills, then that means that 1,250 kills they could get if only a quarter of their total piler throw actually does kill. So 1,250 of their pilers could actually cause kills if 25% of them do actually kill. So that's a heck of a lot of pilers, but with no cavalry, it'll be interesting to see if that many infantry make up for no cavalry. Okay, a second teammate is Cody, Brotherhood member Cody Ray 611. As we saw earlier, he's bought the Gaul faction. You see he's got 5 heavy infantry, a couple of skirmish units as we saw earlier. He just got gold shield, gold attack on his chosen swordsman. But as you can see there, he's opted for the general unit rather than the heavy cavalry. And as you can see there, all his archer units. Remember, he's got 7 archer units there, and you can't see them because they're just hiding. As I say, those Forester archer units can hide anywhere on the battlefield. And as you can see there, they're hiding at the moment. Okay, our third teammate is Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks. Now, if you notice there, Steve's got 12 infantry and 2 archers. His infantry includes an Eagle unit as well. But if we look a little bit closer at Steve's army there, you might be able to see that he's got mixed upgrades. You can see a lot of his units have got 7 upgrades. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And some of his army has just got gold shield, gold attack there. So as I say, he's got mixed upgrades there. So that's quite an interesting army. As I say, he got the Eagle unit there for a bit of extra morale. But if we have a look at his infantry general unit, have a look at the upgrades on that, and you will see that that unit is fully upgraded. 9 upgrades. So that's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack for his general. So that's some kind of serious upgrades on that general. So that's 12 infantry, 2 archers, and I think he's got 6 cavalry. Have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry, and as you can see, he's got 7 upgrades. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. That's quite a robust, interesting army. And our 4th teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's bought the Rome Julii faction. This is another old army of mine. I've got 13 infantry and 5 cavalry. So there's our team, but you wait till you see the other team. It's got the potential to be a great battle. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Bark, who has bought the Carthage faction. I noticed Bark has been using Carthage quite a lot lately. It seems to be his faction of choice at the moment, and he's quite good with them. As you can see, he's got the pony infantry. Now, you don't see the pony infantry bought much with Carthage. It's usually mostly all Sacred Band. But he's bought these 2 units with their spears as obviously what I would call the pilot shield units there. If you notice at the upgrades, can you see he's only got 2 upgrades on his 2 pilot shield units, so they're just there to soak up pilers instead of his main army. And if you notice there, he's got 3, 6, 9, he's got 12 Sacred Band spearmen. Look at the upgrades on those Sacred Band. Can you see he's got 8 upgrades? So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on this Sacred Band infantry. So that's some serious infantry there, and as you can see, he's got 12 Sacred Band, as I say, 2 pony infantry at the front as his pilot shield units. As he's got 2 Balearic Slinger units there. They've got quite the long range, and I see he's got 4 Sacred Band cavalry. Let's have a look. He's just got gold shield, gold attack on his Sacred Band cavalry. So he's put most of his money on his Sacred Band spearmen there. As I say, 8 upgrades on each one of those Sacred Band units. So that's a pretty good, I would say, tried and tested Sacred Band army there, Carthage army. Their 2nd teammate is Brotherhood member Icarus, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction, and I think he's got the bog standard 14 infantry and 6 cavalry there. Very effective, very efficient army. That's why it's the bog standard that people like. Let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, you can see he's got mixed upgrades. He's got some units with 6 upgrades, some with 7. So some he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack, and others just gold shield, gold attack. Okay, their 3rd teammate is Brotherhood member Cal. A lot of you will know Cal. He's been playing RTW for years. He's been missing for a few weeks now, but it's nice to see him back on Rome Total War. And as you can see, he's bought the Rome Brutio faction. Now, I think he's got 15 infantry and 5 cavalry. Yes, 15 infantry and 5 cavalry. Have a quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. What is it? He got 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his 5 units of cavalry. So that's a pretty good Brutio army there. And their 4th teammate is, as we saw earlier, Brotherhood member Earth, who has bought the Spain faction. Okay, the Spanish faction. As I say, very rarely used on the 31k battlefield. You can see he's got Balearic Slingers at the front of his army, and then he's got his Bull Warriors. Let's say he's got mixed upgrades. He's got some Bull Warriors with gold shield, gold attack, and others with just 5 upgrades on, which I'm thinking probably attack and defense there. 3 attack and 2 defense. And I see he's got his long shield light cavalry there. As you can see, he's got 6 upgrades on them. So that's gold shield, gold attack. If you haven't seen those there before, there's a close-up of them. And also have a close-up look at the Bull Warriors, which a lot of you may not have seen before. If you have a close-up, have a look at their helmets. Can you see the Bull Warrior, the actual bull kind of like horns holding the circle? I think that's a sun supposed to be held by the actual bull's horns there. So there's the enemy team. As I say, it's got the potential to be a fantastic battle. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, just thought to show you exactly what's happening. As you can see here, we've got Sacred Band, the Carthage Sacred Band, and the enemy SPQR troops on our right flank, which I'm facing there with Cody Ray's Gaul army there. As you can see, Steve is in our left centre, and I say, Crypto is on our left flank there with those 20 infantry units. Now what I think Crypto's plan was here was to try and plough through the enemy troops there with those 20 infantry units backed up by Steve's infantry and Steve's cavalry there. So I think he's looking to do a sledgehammer blow on the enemy over here with his sheer weight of infantry numbers backed up by Steve. So you can see both Steve and Crypto moving over further and further to the left flank here. As I say, probably with a view to try and take out Cal's Bruttii army as fast as they can, and then probably look to just take out the Spanish troops quite easily after that. As you can see there, they see that obviously the Rome Bruttii troops are the hard edge of that flank there. You see Icarus has moved over a little bit over towards our left flank there. And as you can you see the Spanish bull warrior troops charging into Steve's army, and bang as those bull warriors hit. Okay, so Earth here is being very aggressive with his bull warriors here, charging straight into Steve's urban cohorts. This is something you don't see very often. As I say, well, you don't see Spain very often on 31k battlefield anyway. But I'm not sure if that was a deliberate attack or whether that might have been a glitch there by Earth. I'm not sure. Let's just pause the game for a second. As you can see here, Cody Ray's got his archers in close tight formation. So as I say, they got good long range, and in that close tight formation they can cause more impact and do more damage to the enemy there. So that's a nice use of those Gaul Forester archers. There, as you say, I'm facing the enemy SBQR and the Carthage Sacred Band there. But if you notice, obviously, that Cody has only got, I think, 5, maybe 6 heavy infantry there against, well, we're up against, as I say, Carthage and the enemy SBQR armies here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on this flank of ours. As you can see, he's moving his cavalry forward and he's moving his archers a little bit more over into the centre there. But as I say, over here on the right flank, we are facing 2 formidable armies here. Let's just pause the game for a second. Now, if you notice here, can you see there's been a massive glitch? You can see both Cal's units and Earth's units have glitched, but luckily they're glitching away from our team, so they're not going to suffer any casualties. They're glitching towards the rear of their own team. They haven't come into contact with either of our allies there, and they're just glitching back, so they're not going to suffer any casualties there, and they will rally after a while. But you know, all of us that have had glitched armies, it feels such a nuisance when you get that happening. The only thing you can do then is stop them running and you walk them, and you'll find that they'll form up a lot quicker by walking than running. If you keep them running, then that very often keeps the glitch going longer. But if you walk them, then they'll walk back into formation quicker, if you like, than trying to run them. Okay, so over here on the right flank, you can see both Icarus and myself are kind of squaring up to each other, but I'm very aware of that Carthage Sacred Band army with those great upgrades just behind him there. Okay, now I've spotted a possible weakness in our battle line. Now, veterans watching this, can you see a possible weakness in our battle line here? I should imagine you probably can. Can you see there's a gap between Steve's army and mine, where our Gaul ally is trying to plug the gap? Okay, but I reckon that the Carthage Sacred Band General has seen that all he's facing is a few heavy units of Gaul infantry. And what I'm thinking is that Carthage General could try and force a gap between Steve and myself by attacking our Gaul ally there. I say our Gaul ally using his archers very effectively and efficiently, as I say, in that tight close formation, causing more impact with his arrows, therefore causing more damage on the advancing enemy troops. But as I say, that does look a little bit of a weakness there between Steve and myself that Carthage General could exploit. And as you see, I think he spotted that weakness as well between, as I say, we've only got a few Gaul heavy infantry there in between Steve and myself to try and plug that gap. And you can see the Carthage Sacred Band General has spotted that, and he is now running forward with those Carthage faction. Okay, so this is a really aggressive attack here by the Carthage General. You see Bark being extremely aggressive here, attacking our Gaul ally there. Now, if you notice, can you see Steve and Crypto have moved further over to the left here, which is allowing our the enemy Sacred Band General there, the Carthage General there, to force his way through even further. But veterans also watching, can you see that Carthage Sacred Band army may be a little bit isolated from its allies? I don't know what you think there. Okay, so there's a general view of the battle at the moment. As you can see, Steve and Crypto have moved further over to the left here. As I say, I think their plan was to attack there. My forward unit's being attacked by enemy SBQR units, but this Sacred Band army, this Carthage army, is really pushing through here, attacking our Gaul ally. Now what I'm thinking of doing is probably sending some of my units over to try and counter that Carthage Sacred Band there, if I can. And hopefully Steve and maybe Crypto might be able to send some units over as well. And if we can isolate this Sacred Band army, we could take it out. That's what I'm thinking here, and I think that's what we may have all been thinking there. That Sacred Band army now, that Carthage army now has moved so far away from his allies that he could well become isolated and we could take him out. As I say, don't forget Crypto's got 20 infantry units there. So he could maybe send, I don't know, 7 or 8 over there to attack the Carthage Sacred Band, still being able to hold his part of the battlefield with the units he's got left. As I say, if he sends 7 over, he's still got 14 infantry to hold his part of the battlefield there. So as you can see here, that Carthage army there is running further and further behind our battle line and forcing our Gaul ally further and further back. But every step that Carthage army is running forward, it's getting more and more isolated from his allies. So as you can see here, I'm sending over a couple of my units, but as you can see also, I'm facing a formidable SBQR army right in front of me as well. So the more infantry units I take away from my army, the weaker my army is in front of those SBQR enemy units. Okay, over to our left here you can see Crypto looks like he can see the Carthage army there, and looks like he's going to move his whole army over to actually attack the Carthage army there to take it out. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see, I've sent over a couple of units to attack the rear of those Carthage units, and I'm sending over more of my Julii units over as well. As I say, the problem is that if Crypto moves his whole army over there, veterans watching this probably seeing, can you see that he's going to then allow Steve's flank to be compromised? You see the Brutii army will then move round to the flank of Steve, backed up by that Spanish cavalry, and could smash into the flank of Steve there. Also, if you notice here, can you see Cal's got some Brutii units on Steve's other flank, plus Steve's facing those Spanish troops, plus that SBQR cavalry. So say if Crypto moves away from Steve, Steve's going to be, both his flanks are going to be hit, and probably the enemy are going to smash into the front of his units as well, which could conceivably take Steve's whole army out. So it's a difficult choice. I think for Crypto we may as well just send units, a few units over here to help take out the Carthage army, and just leave some there to support Steve. Let's see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, as I said, I'm sending over some of my Julii units there. Right, you can see I'm going to charge my cavalry, and I can see the flank or the rear of those Carthage Sacred Band spearmen. It's always dodgy sending cavalry into spearmen, though, even if you're going to hit them in the rear or the flank, because with a massive anti-cavalry bonus that spear and pike units on this game has, it's always a little bit dodgy. I was hoping to rout some of those Sacred Band units, but I didn't, and I've probably cost myself quite a bit of cavalry there as well. I was hoping, as I say, to take out some of those units. Right, meanwhile, over on our left flank, remember what we were talking about earlier as Crypto was moving over to try and help with the Carthage situation. You can see now that he was going to move over there to help, but he's moving back now. Now, can you see what we said? Cal is moving around the left flank of Steve. Okay, so Steve's got enemy to his front. He's just lost a lot of units. It's been hit by the SBQR cavalry, and he's got units on his other flank. So poor old Steve here is surrounded on, well, he's got 3-side attack there. So Crypto now has got to move his units back to help Steve. As I say, meanwhile, I'm facing a whole SBQR army here in front of my army, but I'm still sending units over to try and trying to help my Gaul ally here by trying to take out some of those Carthage Sacred Band units. As you can see here, Cody's still got his archer's master shooting loads of arrows into the enemy units. So he'll be causing a lot of casualties that way. But as you can see here, the Sacred Band army now has been split into two. You've got one army facing the Gaul, and you've got one army kind of facing my Julii units that I've sent over. But meanwhile, over on our left flank and left centre here, you can see a lot of our Scipio units have been routed. Now, Cal's very good with his cavalry, and my guess is that he's going to be using his cavalry as like sledgehammer blows, smashing in, pulling out quickly, causing many casualties as he can with his cavalry. Whereas you can see here, I've got my a lot of Julii infantry there now facing the Sacred Band spearmen there. But also, as you can see here, I've now reduced my Julio army facing the SBQR enemy now. I think I've only got 6 or 7 units in my main army facing all those SBQR infantry and cavalry. I see there's some more enemy cavalry moving over to my flank as well. So it is a little bit difficult. Now what I need to do is get my cavalry in behind those engaged spearmen there. So if you notice, I'm looking to move my cavalry round behind those Sacred Band spearmen as my infantry are engaging the front. Okay, over here you can see, remember we are the blue. Okay, we've just killed the Carthage general, which is good. Remember, over here on this flank we are the blue, and we're facing the green and Spain. Okay, so you can see there that we've got a lot of units here. But if you notice, a lot of our units have been routed as well. Notice that the Spanish General Earth is really attacking with his units there. Steve's pulled back the infantry that he's got left in behind Crypto. But as I say, things not looking that good on our left flank and left centre. As I say, you got SBQR enemy cavalry as well as Brutio cavalry charging into us there. Remember, Crypto had an army of 20 infantry, and we wondered if not having any cavalry would make a difference in the battle, and maybe it might do. Right, as you can see here, I'm moving my cavalry, looking to get in behind those Sacred Band spearmen there, with a view obviously to smash into them in a hammer and anvil attack. My infantry being the anvil and my cavalry being the hammer. That's what I'm looking to do here. As you can see, I'm charging them in. Bang! As that cavalry hits straight into the rear of those engaged Sacred Band spearmen there. Bang! As the second lot hits as well. Right, you can see a lot of the Sacred Band units are starting to rout. We know we've killed the Sacred Band general anyway, so their morale will be quite low because they're getting no general morale bonus there. Let's just pause the game for a second. So between us, between Cody's Gaul army and my Julio army, we've managed to take out all of the Sacred Band there. But now, because I've been concentrating on the other part of the battlefield there, can you see my infantry are now being kind of surrounded by the enemy SBQR troops. There's enemy cavalry ready to charge in as well. So my first army there with my general in is under a lot of pressure here, being surrounded by SBQR troops. But we have taken out the Carthage infantry. Meanwhile, over on our left flank and left centre here, you can see that Steve and Crypto have teamed up here against the enemy Brutii and Spanish troops. So we've managed to kind of rally. I thought the situation was looking quite bad over on our left flank and left centre, but it's certainly looking a bit better now. But can you see that Brutii cavalry still out there, still attacking? And that could make the difference possibly over on that flank. Okay, over on our right flank here, you can see that my first Julio army here is now completely surrounded. You can see the enemy SBQR cavalry going in, and bang, as that cavalry hits. Now remember, this is an old army that I've got here with an experience stripe on, and hopefully that experience stripe will keep them fighting longer. If that was just a gold shield, gold attack army, they may well have routed there. Right, you can see I'm charging my battle damage cavalry in, and bang, as my Julio cavalry charging as well over here. Okay, you can see now that my Julio army now is in a pretty precarious position here, surrounded by the enemy SBQR, and also this SBQR cavalry here is pretty dangerous. As I say, I've only got battle damage cavalry left. You can see that SBQR cavalry charging in, and bang, as that cavalry hits once again into my Julio army there. You can see some Spanish cavalry charging into the rear of my engaged units there, and bang, there's those long shield Spanish cavalry charging as well. So you remember, my armies are red Julii, the enemy are the Spanish, and the purple SBQR. Okay, so you can see here I've got my Gaul teammate there shooting loads of arrows into the enemy team all the time, but my infantry is taking a bit of a pasting over there. As you can see over on our left centre and left flank, Crypto, as say, and Steve have teamed up, but I think the enemy cavalry there, as I say, Cal, I noticed Cal was smashing in with his cavalry, pulling back out, rallying, pulling the hammer back on that rifle, pulling the trigger, smashing straight in again. So he's causing loads of casualties with his cavalry there. Remember that there's Carthage Sacred Band cavalry over here, there's enemy Brutii cavalry, plus the Spanish troops there as well, against Crypto and Steve over here in the left centre and left flank. Okay, meanwhile over on the right flank there, as you can see, my troops are kind of being almost overwhelmed by enemy troops here. And that's Spanish cavalry. As say, the Spanish morale is not very good, and those Gaulish forester archers there would have been shooting loads of arrows into them. So if you can see, their cavalry have now been routed. The Spanish cavalry have now been routed, which is good news for us. But as I say, the SPQR cavalry has still got units left. He still keeps charging them into my infantry there. Plus they're attacking with more SPQR cavalry charging again, and bang! So those battle damage units smash into my units once again, causing big casualties. As I say, each one of those Julio units I've got left have got an experience stripe on that's keeping them fighting longer. But as you can see, things not looking very good. That SPQR cavalry is going to keep pulling back and charging in, pulling back and charging in. So I say our right flank's not looking very good. If you notice that Cody's moving his archers over there to get in behind the enemy troops. Right now, you can see hopefully the Gaulish cavalry will be able to take out the SPQR cavalry. So well done to Cody there. He's taken out the SPQR cavalry there. So well done to him. And he's moved his archers around there to get a better angle on the enemy troops there. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So over here on our left, centre and left flank, you can see Steve's general has now been routed. Okay, he's still got an Eagle unit there, but how long that Eagle unit will keep fighting? Once again, can you see Cal's charging his cavalry in, assisted by those Spanish bull warriors charging in as well. So things not looking very good, I don't think, in our left, centre and left flank there. As you can see, Crypto's taking a couple of his units round behind the enemy there. Nice move there to smash in behind the rear of those engaged Brutio troops. As we said before, why attack a barricaded front door when you can nip round the back and you might find the back door open, if you see what I mean. Okay, so we may well be looking to get units round behind there to attack those engaged troops. As I say here, Code has moved his archers further round to get a better angle in the exposed flank of the enemy SPQR troops there. Nice little move by him. As I say, he's got his archers in tight, close formation to get more impact from those arrows. And don't forget, those arrows already cause a lot of damage there. He's charging his Gaulish cavalry in there, and bang! As those cavalry charge in there. Nice hit. Also, he's alt-attacked with some of his Gaulish warriors. Now, do you remember we talked about their alternative weapon? Can you see those spears? Okay, now remember, all spears and pikes in RTW have got anti-cavalry bonus. So if you notice there, can you see they got their spears there? Very good at fending off cavalry attacks. I'm not sure how good they are at fighting other infantry, but against cavalry, when they pull those secondary weapons out, they can be quite effective. So he's charging those into the flank of the enemy SPQRs. But can you see several of my Julio units are starting to rout now? My army is beginning to crack. I suffered a lot of casualties fighting the Carthage army there, and to take on SPQR infantry as well. Maybe just kind of a bridge too far for my army. Although my Gaul ally has been helping out absolutely great here with his archers, shooting into the rear of the enemy troops there. But I think, looking at the situation there, I'm not sure how long I'll be able to hold on. Meanwhile, over on our left flank and left centre, once again, Cal's cavalry, look, smashing in with that cavalry again, causing big casualties, making the most of his cavalry charge bonus over and over again into our allies' infantry. So as I say, remember, over here on the left flank, left centre, we are the blue. Okay, meanwhile, over here on our right flank here, that was a nice charge there by Cody's Gaulish cavalry, and he's alt-attacking some more of his archers to go into the rear of the SPQR troops. Now, if we can rout that SPQR general, there we've done that. We've just routed the SPQR general. Let's just pause the game for a second. So over here on our right flank, we've managed to take out Carthage and SPQR here. So Cody and myself haven't done too bad here on our right flank and right centre. We've managed to take out, as I say, the Carthage and the enemy SPQR troops there. But look at the number of troops I've got left in my units. 5, 6, 7 and 8, I think. That's all I've got left in my units. They're absolutely decimated. Meanwhile, over here, as you see, Cal's cavalry has been making a difference over here on the left flank. He's been using those cavalry like a sledgehammer. Smashing in, not hanging around to fight infantry, pulling them back out. Charging again. There he is. He's going to charge in again there. As you can see, he's charging in again. Bang! As that Brutio cavalry hits. Smashes straight into the flank of our allies' troops. So you can see a lot of our allies' blue Scipio troops starting to rout here. Now you notice Cal's taking his cavalry on through into the flank of our troops, our allies' troops there. Just pause the game for a second. So things not looking very good here over on our left flank. Now you can see both Cody and myself are running what's left of our troops over to the other flank as fast as we can to try and support our allies. But of course, because we're so far away, I think our units are already tired. Yes, I got 27 men, 10 men in that unit, 13 men in that unit, and I think I got 6 in one unit and 8 in another unit. So my army has been absolutely decimated. But we're still going to run over and try and help our allies as fast as we can. So as you can see here, a lot of our allied Scipio troops are starting to rout. They've been fighting for a long time. Can you see they're exhausted? They're absolutely exhausted. Remember what we talked about in other battle videos? When they're exhausted, their morale is really low and their battle efficiency drops like a stone. And so you can see with the combination of that, a lot of our Scipio allies now are now been routed. As you can see, both Cody and myself are running our units over as fast as we can, but our units are tired as well. Remember, we are the blue, the red and Gaul. The enemy that are left now are the green and Spain. Okay, so the green Spain. But once again, Cal's cavalry I think is going to make the difference here. As you can see, we've charged our infantry in here. I see that Cody is alt attacked with his archers, but that Brutii cavalry that's been a thorn in our side all through the battle is going to charge in again, and I think that's going to be the final hit there. You can see the Brutii cavalry charging in. Bang! As it charges into Crypto's unit there, and he probably forces cavalry on through into the flank of our engaged tired troops there, and bang! As that Brutii cavalry hits. Cal has used that cavalry absolutely excellently in this battle. Really well done for the way that he's used that cavalry there, hammering us all the time. Let's just pause the game for a second. As you can see, my general just had 4 men left in when it routed. Just want to show you the intensity of the battle. You remember over this part of the battlefield, this is where we took out the Carthage army there. Okay, you can see that was really a really intense part of the battlefield. And over here where we took on the SBQR army, once again extremely intense there by the amount of dead you can see on the battlefield. As we go through, it just goes on and on and on. And then we come over to here where there was less fighting in between the flanks. And then we go over to our left flank and left centre there, and you can see the amount of dead, the intensity of the fighting over on our left flank and left centre there, just by the piles of dead. So you can see the battle was absolutely intense right from one flank to the other there, and the enemy team has gone on to win. And I'd just like to say, really well played to the enemy team there, guys. Really well played.
Your gallant general has fallen.
I see Cody still got some of his infantry left, some of his archer units left, which I'm sure he'll alt attack. Right, can you see that Brutii cavalry charging in there? Let's see if Cody alts attacks. Watch out for their spears. Right, can you see those foresters now have drawn their spears? Now remember, those spears have got anti-cavalry bonus, so they now can hold against that cavalry quite well. They can hold quite well against cavalry, these foresters can, with their secondary weapon. As you can see there, they're not doing too bad. But of course, remember that barbarian morale's low anyway. So once they get, there's some more Gaul cavalry charging, and bang, as that Gaul cavalry hits. There, he's charging in his cavalry there. But as you can see, as the enemy infantry start approaching, those forester warbands will probably start to rout. Their general's just been routed now, so killed now. So that'll probably be it for the Gaulish army, and the enemy team has gone on to win the battle. Just to say, really well played, guys. Okay, first thing I'd like to say is it was a good close battle there. I thought that was a really interesting battle to watch, especially with factions that's not very often used. Just like to draw your attention to Cal's kills. As I say, it was a close defeat, as I guess you probably thought that, but Cal's kills 1,705, and I bet the majority of those kills he got with his cavalry, with his sledgehammer hits. Didn't stay around hanging around fighting infantry, pulled back out, rallied, charged back in again, pulled back out, rallied, and I bet that's the majority of his kills he got with his cavalry there. As I say, if you look at Cody Ray, 1,312, he got the highest kills in our team. Now, who would have thought that Gaul would have got the highest kills in our team? But he did. The highest kills. And if you look at all the kills, you'll see that he's got the 3rd highest kills in the battle. Out of everybody, the 3rd highest kills with Gaul. So that just goes to show how well he actually used Gaul there. If you notice, Earth 1054, that's not bad for Spain on the 31k battlefield, so well done for him too. And as I say, I hope you enjoyed this battle, because I hope you didn't find the first part of it boring at all. I thought that was just something a bit different there. But I thought it was nice to see Gaul and Spain in a 31k battlefield, something a bit different. I was going to say, if you did enjoy the battle, please leave a comment. I always like to read what you think about our battles. So this is Spartan Commander saying bye for now. See you soon.